U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine Keith Kellogg criticized former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev for comments that alluded to the threat of World War III, calling them reckless and unfitting of a world power. President Donald Trump is working to stop this war and end the killing. We await receipt of the Russian Memorandum that you promised a week ago. Ceasefire now, Kellogg said on X. The envoy's remarks came in response to a tweet from Medvedev that referenced Trump's recent warnings to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Regarding Trump's words about Putin playing with fire and really bad things happening to Russia. I only know of one really bad thing, WWIII, Medvedev wrote. I hope Trump understands this. Medvedev's comments refer to Trump's recent posts on Truth Social, in which he reacted to Russia's weekend aerial attacks on Ukraine, including the largest drone assault since the start of the full-scale invasion. In the posts, Trump called Putin crazy and warned him that he was playing with fire. The U.S. president has increasingly voiced frustration with stalled peace efforts, signaling readiness to walk away from the process. Despite repeated threats of sanctions, Trump has not imposed any additional pressure on Moscow to push it toward a ceasefire agreement. Russia has repeatedly rejected Kiev and its Western partners' proposal for an unconditional ceasefire. Following Russian-Ukrainian negotiations in Istanbul on May 16, the Russian leadership said it would present a memorandum toward a peaceful settlement. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia's delays in presenting the document are a mockery of the whole world. Currently the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and a key Putin ally, Medvedev served as the Russian president between 2008 and 2012, and is known for his saber-rattling comments. He has repeatedly warned, throughout Russia's war on Ukraine, that Moscow could use its nuclear arsenal. Putin also raised the possibility of nuclear confrontation in a State of the Nation address in March 2024, warning Western powers of Russia's nuclear capabilities should any decide to deploy troops in support of Ukraine. Everything that the West comes up with creates the real threat of a conflict with the use of nuclear weapons, and thus the destruction of civilization, Putin said at the time.
The Russian regime must stop playing games and provide realistic proposals for a ceasefire in Ukraine. The Kremlin's response will determine Washington's future course, either continuation of peace talks between Ukraine and Russia or the introduction of sanctions against the Russian regime that will turn Russia into a trading island. This was stated by U.S. Senator from the Republican Party, Lindsey Graham, in a column for the American publication, The Wall Street Journal. Graham emphasized that the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan has undermined the reputation of the United States and provoked a number of wars around the world, but Washington can restore its reputation by maintaining leadership in the negotiations. Mr. Trump can restore our reputation and end the bloodshed, but peace requires partners willing to achieve it. While Ukraine has made it clear that it is ready for such an end, Russia is making too many excuses, he wrote. Graham recalled that he worked on a bill on draconian sanctions against Russia, which already has the support of 82 out of 100 senators. This is enough to pass the document and overcome the president's veto if necessary. U.S. President Donald Trump is waiting for a document from Russian ruler Vladimir Putin with proposals for a ceasefire. If it does not come, Russia will face the consequences. The bill would put Russia on a trading island by imposing 500% tariffs on any country that buys Moscow's energy. The consequences of Russia's barbaric invasion should become a reality for those who support it. If China or India stop buying cheap oil, Putin's war machine will grind to a halt. As Senator Thune said last week, if Putin keeps playing games, the Senate will take action. I hope for the best, but when it comes to the thug in Moscow, we should all brace ourselves for more. He concluded. The senator himself hopes for the best, but at the same time prepares for the worst-case scenario. When it comes to the mobster in Moscow, we all have to prepare for him to continue in the same vein. The Republican said. The Graham Blumenthal bill is known as the Russia Sanctions Act of 2025. Russian military rejects large-scale offensive in Ukraine. Russian generals say it would lead to more casualties. Ukrainian military expert Valery Ryabik, Director of Development at the Defense Express Media and Consulting Company, says Russian forces have limited resources for large-scale offensives. As a result, they are focusing on areas where logistics are more favorable for them. He shared his opinions with Espresso TV. There are reports of Russian troop buildup near the border, possibly in the Kharkiv direction, and serious threats may also arise in the Sumy direction, said military expert Valery Ryabik. This likely reflects Russia's limited capacity to sustain large-scale ground operations. Despite increasing its grouping to around 650,000 personnel involved in support and offensive actions, the enemy still faces constraints in expanding its offensive efforts. That's why they are focusing on tactical gains for now, while keeping their main strike direction toward Pokrovsk, aiming to reach the administrative borders of Donetsk region. According to Valery Ryabik, Russia is also active in secondary offensive directions such as Novopavlivka and Lyman. In this situation, Russia's focus on the Kharkiv direction is a forced move. It offers the most favorable logistical conditions close to supply routes, ammunition depots and fuel storage, meaning the occupiers don't need to invest heavily in logistics, he explained. However, claims that Russia can achieve major breakthroughs during this summer campaign are exaggerated. Their capacity for large-scale operations remains limited. Ryabik concluded. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has led to the bloodiest conflict in Europe since World War II. It has also resulted in the largest depletion of military equipment in 80 years. Vast stockpiles of primarily Soviet-era weaponry, originally designed at the height of the Cold War for use in a global confrontation with the Western world, have been exhausted at an unprecedented rate. According to the latest available estimates, Russia's armed forces have already lost more than half of their available military hardware. If no unexpected developments occur, the most likely scenario involves a gradual decline in combat intensity by late 2025 or early 2026, driven by a basic shortage of tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery.